Welcome, everybody, to a special episode of Get the Word Out with Project Next. I'm Sarah Blessing, and I'm with Molly Gaines from Secular Education Association. And she has joined us today to tell us all we need to know about Turning Point USA, which is Christian nationalism in politics, and it's getting involved in colleges, public colleges, and public high schools, and it's where they try to get the students to be the teachers and to teach these clubs all about Christian nationalism and how to get involved politically. It's pretty scary. It's tied similar to LifeWise. It's like kind of like they're best friends. LifeWise is the elementary school propaganda, Christian nationalism, and Turning Point is the high school college edition. It is hit heavily in Indiana. Governor Braun had in October did a big thing in Bloomington. He made it like a special day even. There's just a lot we need to unpack. And Turning Point is pretty new to me. I just recently learned about it from Corinne Strait. And now I think it's bigger and we need to talk about it. So Molly, thank you so much for joining me. How are you today, my friend?
I'm doing so good. Thanks for having us on. We really appreciate you.
And if you all do not follow Secular Education Association, I really encourage you to. They have a website, they're on Facebook, they're on TikTok, they're on Instagram. It really teaches you what you need to know about Christian nationalism and its attack. It's just pumping into public schools across the country. And so it really lets you know, where is it? What can you do to stop it? And you can't really stop it, but what can you do to lessen it and to make sure our kids know it's not this sweet, innocent Bible school, but it's actually indoctrination. So, okay. So we've done several shows on LifeWise. If you do not know what LifeWise is, go back through Project Next. We've done quite a few. You were on one of them. Thank you, Molly. And then your co-founder, Zach Parrish, was on it. And Zach's been on a couple times. So I'm really thankful to have you on again, Molly. So if you want to know about LifeWise, watch those. We're talking about Turning Point USA, which has to do with Charlie Kirk and now his widow, Erica. So could you just tell us what in the world is Turning Point USA?
Yeah. So just real quickly, we'll differentiate between the two. LifeWise Academy, and there's obviously other programs like LifeWise Academy. Those are acting under release time for religious instruction laws. So this is happening during the day. That LifeWise Academy is happening during the day. They're pulling kids out and taking them to another place, bringing them back. TPUSA is very specifically designed to be a student-led organization. And so they are entitled to act on school grounds. They can have their club meetings before school, after school, during free periods, lunch, things like that. So if there's another school club or activity that is allowed to meet during that time, then of course TPUSA will be given that same space.
Yeah, so Turning Point USA has a acronym, TPUSA.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. Mm-hmm.
And so LifeWise is taught by LifeWise people off school grounds during the school day in elementary schools right now. It's geared towards what, 4 to 14 ages?
Yeah, give or take. LifeWise really started, their like core focus was our early education. So like K through 6 was their like really big focus.
Yes. And just side note, Zachary Parrish was actually the co-founder of Secular Education Association, was actually sued by LifeWise because he got his hands on the curriculum of what they're teaching these little kids, and he put it out there on the internet. And LifeWise was so angry that they were so upset by this, that we had the knowledge of what they're teaching our young children, that they sued him, I think, for around $850,000.
It was a lot.
It was a lot, yes, and thankfully Zachary knew it was coming. Like you guys had kind of had it planned, and what is it called? It didn't go to court. It went through. I can't remember the words.
Well, I do know there was a settlement, so I guess
settlement. It went through a settlement. Yeah, yeah. And there are all these requirements to seeing the curriculum, but the curriculum is not fluffy, sweet, innocent. What would Jesus do? Bible school. It's like Jesus or dinosaurs were on the ark. Anybody in the pride community sinning, single moms are sinning, and it's like you should obey their curriculum because that's God over your parents. So it's not what you think it is. So
it's very, very much dominionism, biblical literalism.
What is dominionism? I've never heard that.
Yeah, dominionism. Zach would be the one to have this conversation with. But from my understanding, it is very much like they take the literal word of the Bible, as it is
Oh,
as it is written. So a lot of denominations of Christianity, they sort of have different ways of contextualizing these things, and different ways of looking at them, and so they form their doctrine based on that. But in a religion that takes it for its word, we're talking about it is absolutely that it took this many days to create the earth.
right.
Moses was absolutely real and the earth was flooded. Gay people, it's not like there's all these different translations of it. It is, this is the word and we're going to take it at face value. We're not
And
going to pay attention to
is
the
Turning
historical.
Point do that too? Are they pretty literal with everything with the
Is
Bible?
my understanding is that yes, they
Okay.
have the same ideological values, and they have the same sort of new apostolic reformation sort of ties. And what that is that's really what we're talking about, is like the head up, the big dogs of Christian nationalism in our country. The people, we're talking about the Heritage Foundation, we're talking about Project 2025, we're talking about everyone who's involved in these sort of things, who really truly believe that our country was formed by Christians based on Christianity and should be a Christian nation. That's
I have to tell you, I personally, Project Next has been around for like a year and 4 months or so, and I'm very surprised at how much I spend time on my shows talking about Christianity.
yeah,
And it's like, well, we have to, because there's this big push and it's been around for a
yeah,
long time. It's just really spreading right now. It's big
yes,
push to put Christian, like a certain type of Christian religion,
yeah,
this Christian nationalism, this very literal interpretation of the Bible into our government, into our schools, and like indoctrinating our children. And then we got to get them ready when they're in high school and college so that they're voting this way. They're voting for people that are pushing this Christian nationalism along. And then we want to push them to run for something, and we want to push them to get voted in. We have it's happening in the Indiana State House. I wonder, you're in Ohio. Is it happening in Ohio as well?
100%. Our state legislator is absolutely rife with Christian nationalists. I mean, that is who is running Ohio as we speak.
So I'm running for state house in District 70 in Southern
Good.
Indiana, and the person I'm running against, who is an actual bully and is very mean to people in my community. I get people all the time that tells me stories about him. He posted when he announced that he was running that after prayerfully considering it, he decided to. So he's pushing on that Christian nationalist,
Mhm.
you know, the I'm a good Christian man, we're going to have Republican values. He's riding that train, so
Yeah.
it's definitely everywhere, especially in red states.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. And I think that what the important thing for your listeners to understand is this is a top down project. We're not talking about they are, coming up and trying to take control of education, or coming up and trying to take control of government. What we're really talking about is the Seven Mountain Mandate. And if you've not heard of that,
I've not heard of the Seven Mountain Mandate. What is that?
just you go and take a little trip down into the internet hole and look up the Seven Mountain Mandate. And what that is a plan. It's a plan to overtake our culture, our society as Americans, and make it Christian completely. And so the seven mountains of their mandate are, forgive me, I don't know why I can never remember them off the top of my head, but I will give you some solid examples. Most of them. Uh, we're talking about government, education, media, entertainment. I cannot believe I can't remember
So it
anymore.
makes sense. So it's every area of like making
It's
so the
literally,
world or the country
yes, it is
gets
literally
this.
every pillar
Okay,
of our
that makes
society
sense. That makes
that
sense.
they are
Thanks for
trying to
explaining.
infiltrate and bring people that align with their values and their traditions and their beliefs,
So
and
they try
take.
to get the leaders elected that believe this.
So
They try to get it into
you're going to fill your
schools,
school boards, right? You're going to fill your
school
school
boards.
boards with
Okay.
those people. You're going to have them run for your local offices. You're going to have them run for your state offices. And then of course we already see the Christian nationalists from the top down, all the way up to like our president and our, Congress members and people like that. So they exist in every level, in every facet of our lives. They are already present and enacting their plan, and have been for quite some years.
It
This
sort of
is
seems like the National Congress, the person that head, what's his name? The head
uh,
guy. Seems like he's like this.
absolutely. Absolutely.
Okay.
Without us even mentioning a name, I can guarantee you that that's probably the case, because it is rife. I mean, we have been inundated with it, and it has been happening for decades, and it's just now coming to a head. That's what we're looking at. We're looking at that they have placed these building blocks for decades and decades, and now they have them in place and can start to build.
Okay. So it started in colleges.
Yes,
And
yeah,
I
let's get
know
back
in
to
October
TPUSA.
there was a big, so Turning Point USA
Mhm.
in October of 2025, a few thousand, I think it was like 3,000 people met at Bloomington, IU
Mhm.
Bloomington,
Yep.
where the football team just won, you guys, and had a big like convention there.
Mhm.
And I think Governor Braun was there, and I think that's when he announced that would be like civic engagement turning point day in Indiana.
Yeah.
So our governor is igniting the green light to encourage these student organizations
Yeah.
to be organized in all our public high schools and our
Mhm.
colleges. And then you looked up how many Turning Point USA clubs do we know of in colleges so far?
So there's about 900 college chapters.
And
Uh,
so these are college students are leading them. Now, how are they getting like their lesson plans and stuff?
so my understanding is it's coming from adults. It's coming from the Turning Point USA Corporation. So they're all of their information, like their policies, their rules, their, values that you must abide by, whatever it is that they're calling it, are going to be coming from adults in organizations like the ones that we've talked about.
So you're saying
Extreme.
it's student led, but adults that are heavily influenced in Turning Point USA are
That's sort of,
pushing out
yes.
what they're learning in those clubs.
Yes,
Okay.
absolutely. And that's sort of something that we see happen a lot. It's very sticky sort of situation when you're talking about these students have the right to express themselves, they have the right to start a club, and they have the right to do so, peer to peer. But when we're talking about adult ideology being delivered by the youth, then it's not student led anymore. It's student facing.
It looks like students are
It
teaching it.
looks like students are doing it, but they're getting their they're getting their documents, and they're getting their club policies, and they're getting their initiation requirements, or like whatever else is involved. They're getting all of that from an adult-led corporation, an adult-led organization that um you know isn't really taking kids into account at all. They're driving what they want into it, right?
So there, it's propaganda. They've got an agenda, and they're trying to find as many students in college, students in high school to teach this to other kids to just spread. It's like this big movement where they just want to spread it to as many people as they can so they can influence, like the mountain thing you were saying, let's influence every facet of American culture and government and law and schools and education. So yeah,
So yeah, so
this is
when adults,
alarming.
yeah, it very much is. I agree. And so, when adults hide behind children, accountability disappears.
Right.
Because what you're doing is you're putting the children between yourself and the other adults, and you're saying, well, you can't tell them they can't believe that. But it's not the children that are believing it. So, it
It's
really
being
is.
pushed on them.
It
Okay.
exactly.
So now it
So it's,
seems like
it's
it
governed
start
by adults,
Mhm.
funded by major donors, strategically directed from the top down. That's not student led, but it is meant to look that way.
Okay, so funding. So there's money backing this? Is this like is it a nonprofit? What do they call themselves?
They are listed as a nonprofit. That's my understanding. And we're talking about, same as LifeWise Academy, millions of dollars in profit for a nonprofit, which they do. Nonprofits have to make money like any other business, in order to function. So that's not necessarily why it's concerning. What's concerning is where the funding is coming from.
And where
And
is the funding coming from?
and that's from these really large, dark organizations that are funding it through, maybe PACs, or it might be private donors, church
PACs are
donors.
political action committees.
Yes, yeah.
And
So
they go through like loopholes where a PAC can give a lot more money than like an individual donor.
exactly. And then the PAC, there's also donor advised funds where you can hide your identity.
Oh,
Like,
wow.
you would never know that it's me that's donating to
That's
AB.
something I learned. Like when I run for State House, everybody can see who's donating. You can go to opensecrets.org and
Mhm.
you can see everybody that donated to me, and you can see all the other people. But when it's a nonprofit, it is much harder to see who donates. And when it's a PAC, a political action committee, it's much harder to see the money, the transparency of money. And some people get into political action committees to make money for themselves because,
Oh, yeah.
again, it's so not as transparent as like donating money to a campaign. So that's something I learned this last year that I thought was interesting and scary, because it means people can quietly behind the scenes influence organizations and you have no idea it's happening. So this is happening to Turning Point USA because it's a nonprofit and PACs are donating, and you can't really find exactly what person is giving a bunch of money to push Christian nationalism onto our teenagers and our college students in the hope that they go out in the world and push it out, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
That they form that ideology, and it concretes itself to them, and they stay that way, stay in that lifestyle, stay in those beliefs for the rest of their life, pass it on to their children, etc. So it's really
Okay.
proliferating the hate.
Why? This is my question. And I don't know if you have, I think you might have an opinion on it.
Sure.
Why are they doing this? Why are they pushing this one type of Christianity into all facets of our lives? They're forcing it on our children, on our college kids, it's in our government. Why are they doing this? What is the mission? What's the goal?
Well, if you
Is it
ask,
control?
I think that it's, you know, I hate to be this simplistic about things, but when you get down to talking really philosophical, and you're like, well, what are truly the motivators for
Right. That's what I want to know.
for
What's the motivation?
money, greed, power, and influence. If I had to guess, that's
Is
what
it
we're
just
talking.
so they can snap a finger and say, now we're going to vote this into law? And then the people that they've gotten manipulated into this
That's one of
group
the things.
blindly just get that law passed?
Absolutely.
Is it like they have a convention and they say, now we're going to push this agenda out? And so then the people that have the podcasts and the people that are influencers start pushing it out. I mean, it's so it seems
It's
like, yeah, money, greed, control, I guess.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly. And they're, I can't propose or assume to know their personal beliefs or their intentions, but I believe that there are some that truly believe in their minds and hearts that they are called by God to do this,
Yeah, I'm
to me
finding that too. There are
which to
people
me
that
makes it
really
even more
believe it.
dangerous. Which
Right, right, right.
to me makes it even more dangerous, because that faith, that calling, supersedes your rights and my rights and our children's
Because
rights.
they so know they're right and they have to save us all from
Yeah,
hell, that
yes,
they think that what they're doing is good, and so they can take our rights of freedom of religion. They can take our rights of separating education and religion out the window because what they're doing is so important. Yeah, I do so see those people, and you're right. They are like extremely dangerous because they 100% believe it. And then
yes,
there's the people that just use it
use
as
it.
manipulation.
Exactly.
Yeah,
And it's sometimes not very hard to tell the difference between the two,
I
right? And even
agree.
even in
Right.
their own circles, they can sort of tell sometimes, or you'll see where, this person is very much driven by these goals, and this other person is very much driven by these numbers or this money. So,
Right.
it's something to be aware of. But here's the other thing, though, is like the people that believe these sort of things, the Christian nationalists, the MAGA conservatives, they are painting secularism, which is neutrality, as its own religion, as evil, as
Right. Yeah,
demonic.
they look at
As
secular, your word and your organization, as bad. I have seen that.
yes,
I have, yes.
absolutely. And so, and then that ties into the whole idea of, that when our schools are teaching diversity and inclusion and these principles that are good things, that they're indoctrinating them into our secularism religion and really poisoning the future. That's how they feel, is that by us not having religion in schools anymore is the root of all of our problems.
Yes,
And
that's what I
yes,
see with the people that are asking me. They get mad at me when I post something truthful about LifeWise. They're like, "But this is good. This is what we need to do to protect our children." And
there's
they
no realm of reality where sending your child off campus of your school with someone who hasn't been vetted properly by the state is good for your child.
no,
There's no
no.
reality where that's the case. I'm sorry to have to be the message and the deliverer of that, but
And
even if it's not the good people in your community, even if it's not the LifeWise director, the LifeWise teacher, the people at the church, let me explain something to you. There are bad people that exist in your community, and that location that they take the children to is an unsecured location. So those bad people absolutely do have access to the children that are being brought into this unsecured location.
yeah, yeah.
That's what we're
And
talking about,
and
right?
there's nothing
Using every
there's
LifeWise
so
person.
secular
Yeah.
just means in our public schools we shouldn't be teaching our children certain religions.
Any
And it means the parents get to pick the religion.
yeah.
So my husband was raised Catholic with a very sweet family, and he wants to take our twins to that Catholic group and he takes them on Sundays, and they have a Sunday school teacher that we know and trust that is an intelligent person. And we also talk to them about the parts of Catholicism that we don't agree with. You
So
know,
you're adding, right, you're adding nuance. You're adding
I'm writing that this is
you
complicated,
are
but this is a nice community.
you are
This is your
guiding your children.
family.
Yes.
Right, right. So we
Through
have
that.
conversations about it so that they don't blindly follow.
Yes.
And also the parents should get to pick how they want. And instead of they go to school and get this one specific type of extremely scary Christian religion where they say a lot of people are sinning and they do the hell thing and they terrorize our children.
Mhm.
And so now we've got Turning Point. Turning Point is saying this is student led, but really it's adults with an agenda giving these kids the curriculum to teach.
Yes.
And but it's not just teaching you the religion, it's teaching you how to spread this agenda to the
Yes.
country.
So for TPUSA, I would say that the religion is the underlying part of it. What their focus is the political side of it. So they are organizing children to vote in certain ways, to believe in certain sort of um, policy, right? Like, so they're going to absolutely have their kids vote for pro-life versus pro-choice. That's just an example that that lines up with their ideology. And here's the thing, that's fine. That's your decision as a parent if that's what you want to expose your child to. But when we're talking about using the school as a funnel and the children as a delivery system of this hateful messaging to their peers, then we're talking about something altogether different. Then we're talking about state sanctioned religion.
Right.
And that's, and here's the thing that people need to understand. There are thousands of denominations of Christianity. So you may believe that you are a Christian, you may call you are a Christian deeply. And I respect that so much. We have many devoted and faithful Christian people in our organization who
Yeah.
believe in the separation of church and state because
Right.
it protects Christian people as well.
I have a lot of those pastors on the shows.
Yes.
I do one
And
with Rich Genzero. He's a Lutheran pastor, and
and a
he
lot of
heavily
those
speaks out.
pastors, yes, a
Yes.
lot of those pastors, a lot of the priests, we have Catholic priests, we have all sorts of people who have taken a look at the curriculum of LifeWise and have said, we do not align with this doctrine. Do not send the children in our congregation to LifeWise Academy because they are going to get a religious education that is opposite of ours. And we're
Right.
here from United Methodists, Lutherans, Catholics, Jewish. I mean, anything you
Yeah,
can imagine.
Presbyterian, Episcopal, all
Presbyterian,
kinds of, yes.
and heavily a lot of flavors of Christianity are like, no, we don't align with this. Please know
Yes.
this is not how we roll. This is how we
You
believe.
said something really important. You said it's you use the word, oh, now I lost my train of thought, but you're saying that it's, this one type of government sanctioned religion. And
Yes,
that's what Christian nationalism is trying to do. It's this one type, even though there are thousands
yes,
and parents should choose. And then when you get old enough, you should get to choose. They're
yes,
saying, no, we choose for you.
yes,
And that is the problem. Our
yes.
government does not get to choose our religion, and
Not
they're
for
they're
not for
dressing it
children.
up for little kids as fun Bible study, where if you come, you get snacks and treats and prizes, and you get to get out of the school building. And how fun is that? And now they're treating it as
I was
clubs
going to
with
say,
Turning Point.
now they're dressing it up for teens or for
Yes,
older children in the form of being a part of something, which we all know is a huge draw for kids that are going
we
through.
want community.
Absolutely, humans, right?
We want to belong to a
But
group.
especially for adolescents, right?
Yes. Oh, you don't
And
want to be an
feeling
outsider. You don't want to
no.
be different. Yeah, it's
And
so
so that
hard.
that pressure exists in a way that some adults don't seem to understand. If you've got adults at your school that are saying this thing is a thing you should do, your friends are saying this thing is a thing you should do, your
They might be
friends
talking about it at their churches,
are
right? Their churches
talking
are
about
encouraging it.
exactly. So like then it truly doesn't become optional anymore.
Right. Right.
Because for a child, it's not an option when everybody in your life is saying, this is what you're to do, this is what you're supposed to do, this is what we're doing.
And
And
and I had my own weird, inappropriate religious experience in high school, and I fought it. I knew that stuff was wrong, and I got bullied, and I have trauma from it, from recognizing that our youth pastor wasn't a good person and did harm to all of us that were involved in that youth group. And so the sense of everybody needs to do the same thing is so much more powerful as a teenager than it is when you're an adult, and it's still hard as an adult. So I feel that.
yeah.
Um, so
Yeah.
let's talk about, so now there's like they're kind of pushing it on high schools more. They
So
started at college.
900 colleges,
Right.
right? And they're saying right now that they're estimating about 1,200 high school chapters.
Wow.
So, and we would have seen, I didn't run the numbers prior to, I wasn't focusing on this. I have other areas that we focus on for Secular Education Association, but we've turned our attention to this, and we're doing our research, and we're doing our due diligence. And I have heard and I have seen that apparently there was a huge uptick in high school organizations or high school chapters of TPUSA after Mr. Kirk's assassination. And so
Which was wrong and
very
horrible,
wrong, very
very
wrong
against
and
violence. I'm so
awful.
sorry to the
We do not
family.
condone. I don't even like to talk
Awful.
about it because
I don't either.
it's upsetting, right? We should
It's
not be saying
upsetting.
anything like that in our country for
No.
anyone.
No.
But the fact remains is that we saw this huge uptick, and the reason for that was, and I don't know anyone who could have escaped it during that week, right, or 2 weeks that it was happening, but they really used that tragedy and that situation to bolster their numbers via our youth. So they really pushed it and went
So
hard, used that as almost like a panic button, right? Like, get your kids involved now, people are being shot, and
and it's a fear thing. So we're all
it's very
scared.
here.
When
Yeah.
something like this happens, it's terrifying for everybody,
Yes,
regardless of your politics, regardless of whether
it
you like
should
what
be.
the person's saying. You
Yes,
should be allowed to say what you want to say. We have free speech in this country. You should be able to say what you want to say, whether you agree with them or not.
yeah,
So when this happened, fear grows. And when
yes,
fear grows, we see it across the world. We see it when we look back at history. Dictatorship, authoritarian rule spreads because we want somebody to come in and say, I will save you.
I
This
will
is
protect you.
scary. I will protect you. Trust me. So here, this awful event happens. Everybody's scared. And
Yeah.
this group, Turning Point USA, says, we're the answer. Join our organization. We will protect your children. And everybody swarms to it because we're scared. So you're saying giant uptick uptick in membership because of the fear.
Yes.
Yeah,
That's what I saw. That's my belief. Like I said,
I agree with you on
I'm
that
by no
about the
means an
fear.
expert, but yeah, that is my feeling about it. So now we're talking about 2,100 official student chapters total nationwide of
Wow.
USA. And now, I mean, if you think about it, let's say there's a chapter. There could be a chapter in every school of your district, technically, or you could have a district chapter, right? So like, let's just say it's a district chapter. That's 2,100 school districts that are being touched by this ultra conservative, problematic, adult led and founded organization, that are influencing our kids. And not just the kids that are going to it either, they're also influencing the kids that aren't attending, because that's how kids work. And that's where their power lies, right? Is that if they can get their foot in the door, and they can tell these kids and incentivize these kids to spread the word, to spread the message, to try to save their peers, to try to help their
That
peers,
gets when it gets so scary because they're taught that their
help.
friends are gonna go to hell if they're not believing this exact same thing, and
Mhm.
so they have this fear that they've gotta save their friends, and so they're
Carrying the
pulling
world
them
on
in.
their shoulders.
They're
Yeah.
they're pulling them in. We're terrorizing our children with this health thing, and then they're trying to pull in as many people as they can. And I bet it kind of quickly makes a division because let's say that like I'm in high school and my friend starts going to this group and they totally change the way they talk, their beliefs,
They
they
dress,
start spouting
all of
off
it.
this creepy we're
Yep.
believing the Bible is literal type stuff,
Yep.
and they're trying to pull me in. It's going to make me pull away, and then that person's gonna get even farther into the rabbit hole
Yep.
of Turning Point content and curriculum because
Then they're
they're
echo chamber.
losing their regular friends that say, "This is a little bit cult-like or a little bit scary and inappropriate,
Mhm.
not healthy." And
Yes.
so they're gonna pull even more into it.
Well, and we see that time after time, like time after time, when situations like this, in an abusive dynamic, they talk about how one of the things they do is they separate you from your friends and family.
Oh,
And
yeah.
that same thing goes for cults, organizations that are hurtful, pyramid schemes, these sort of things. They want you to be isolated in that echo chamber so that all you're hearing is the positives.
And you think anybody that doesn't believe that is scary.
Evil, scary,
Evil, that they
something to
start telling
avoid.
you what music to listen to,
Yep.
what podcasts, what shows. They
Yeah.
even are making, like, movies
Where,
that are more
where to go to
appropriate.
college.
Yeah, which
what
colleges are safe
what
for
you
them.
should major in, if you should go to college, because you have to understand that these are the people that believe that women should stay home, that they should raise their children, that they
Well,
shouldn't get
I heard, like, the women go to college to meet the
their.
partner, to meet the
Yes.
man, and then they stop, and they get married, and they raise their family, and they
that,
raise their children in
that
that
is
certain religion.
common. That is a common thing, and it's common messaging in those groups, that is perfectly fine and acceptable.
And the easiest way, something I've really fully realized, doing Project Next, the easiest way to control and manipulate people is through religion. And
Yes.
that is the heart of why Turning Point is around, LifeWise is around, other groups like this. It's because it's the easiest way to
Yes.
control giant populations.
Fear
Did
and
fear?
religion. And
Yep.
religion is really a reaction to fear,
And
and to the
it's so
unknown.
protected,
Yes.
people don't wanna say, like, "That part of your religion seems bad." You wanna
Yes.
be respectful to people's
Yes.
religion, so you
Yes.
leave it alone. And
Right.
here, your organization opens it up, shines a light, and says, "This is not right. Here's why. Here's how. Here's what we can do." And so I think that's really it's so beautiful what you all are doing, and I so appreciate it, and it's very hard.
It
Did
is.
you see the Elizabeth Smart documentary?
I
It's
haven't
on
watched it
Netflix, I
yet.
think. I have
It's
not
on my
watched it.
list.
I listened to my favorite podcast, Armchair Expert with Dak Shepard and Monica Padman. They
Yeah.
had her on. Elizabeth Smart was on it, and I listened to that. And then my husband watched the documentary, and we talked about it. And the man that kidnapped her and that sexually assaulted her when she was a child, I think she was 14, maybe younger. Um, for 11 months, I think she was gone. The man that did this would wear a cloak and put a cloak on her and put a cloak on the other woman that he was with, and they would speak like they were reading the King James version of the Bible and people left them alone. That's a religious person. And he said it because she heard it. Elizabeth heard it. He said, yes, the easiest way to control people is religion. And
Yeah.
so we cannot just blindly assume all religions are safe and equal. We have to acknowledge that a bunch of people use religion to control and manipulate us. And if they're trying to say everybody should be that religion, alarm bells need to go off. And
Yeah.
if they're putting it in our public schools, our high schools, our colleges, alarm bells need to be going off. And we need to stop that assumption that if it's politics or religion, we shouldn't talk about it.
Yeah, 100%. 100%, because how do you grow in knowledge of those subjects if you're not having discussions? If you're not debating, healthy debating, and learning from that. So I agree 100%. And I think for a long time, the whole polite, like, you don't talk about like religion, you don't talk about how much you make, like
I
those
think we should
rules.
talk about how much we make because sometimes it's
Yeah,
very unequal.
I agree. And I think that that's sort of why. And that's the reason why it's considered not polite, is because it causes problems, because there are problems, not because it's
Yeah.
impolite to talk
Not
about.
talking about problems does not solve them.
It does not. We have figured that out the hard way, haven't we?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
so that's why this is it's another attack on the school day, the TPUSA is, and it's another attack on our kids. It's another route of spreading their messaging, their ideology, their values, their very specific brand flavor of Christian religion. So not
Right.
Christianity, but their
It's a
Christian.
Christian religion that when you get down to it and you actually discuss what it is they believe, most people don't believe that.
You would be correct. Most Christian identifying people would not agree with the core tenets of their beliefs,
For
because
example,
they're so.
most people are okay with the pride community. Most people
Yes,
know someone and love someone that
yes,
is in that group.
yes, absolutely.
So
And
that's
we find
where
a lot of religions that are now sort of,
I was gonna
uh,
say that. Yep.
they're adding context, they're adding historical nuance, they're doing things where they're trying to understand more about what these words meant and who they wrote them, right? Because regardless of your belief about Christianity, we know that man wrote the Bible, and man has inherent flaws. Like, that's also a very Christian view that I believe in 100%. And so then we're going to take our cues from these flawed men for everyone. That's where I'm like, what are we doing? So it's very much, how many different ways can they hit us and break us down? So when
So
you're talking.
let's talk about what do we do?
Yeah.
Because this is when I first learned about LifeWise, I was like, what? And then I'm seeing it everywhere around here, and then I'm seeing it's like showing up as a in a booth at a festival. It's got a parade float. And like I'm seeing it everywhere,
Yeah.
and it's alarming. What do we do? Because we can't stop it.
No.
We know there's going to be more turning point chapters in more schools across the country. We know that they've got well funded, they got lots of money. We know they're going to keep trying to get people that are favorable to these groups
Yeah.
elected into our state and in our nationally in our elections. What do we do to stop it? Obviously, first point, everybody follow Secular Education Association and get well informed. Do
And
that
project.
first. Yeah,
Yes.
listen to
Yeah.
Project Next. I've done quite a few shows about it.
Hmm.
But what else? What do we do?
So here's what I say, if their ultimate goal is to place their people in every one of our mountains, in every one of our you know hierarchies, structures, then we must meet them there. So, what that means is that if you feel strongly about your values and your ideologies and the love that is in your heart that is different from their Christian hate, which is very much a tenet of Christian nationalism and not Christianity,
Right.
different. So, but if you feel strongly about it and believe that you don't want the next generation to end up this way and for it to spread, then I suggest you get involved. Meet them where they are. You're running for
State
office.
house. Yep.
I have a few other friends that are running for office.
Against a literal person that's pushing Christian nationalism.
I don't care who you are, what your education is, what your experience is. I care that you care about my kids and your kids and all of our right to believe in what we want to believe in, the way that we were raised, that Americans are allowed. Right?
Yeah, I want to be in charge of what my children learn.
Here's the first thing we do is we meet them where they are.
Okay.
Encourage people in your life who feel strongly to run for office, whether that's their school board or their state or their city or their village, whatever it is.
Yeah.
If you know someone who is a good person who has sound values, I don't care if they're Republican or Democrat or whatever.
Same. Yeah.
They're Christian nationalists and they believe in our neutrality and our pluralism as a country, then get in there, encourage them, help them. If it's not you, if you're not meant to be for office, do something else that you're meant for.
Right.
Campaign for them. Do, get signatures.
I think another thing to do is to let your own school system know what's going on.
Yes.
So like whatever school your kids attend, make sure the teachers, the principals, the administrators, the school board, all are warned about if they're in elementary school LifeWise and if they're in high school Turning Point for what the real mission is. Indoctrination, pushing this out, creating a government one religion. And because most people still don't know, more people know about like LifeWise than we used to. I think you guys are really helping with that.
You too.
Yeah, we work together. Yeah. And then there's a lot of people down here in Southern Indiana working to stop LifeWise. I don't know whether they've shifted and they're doing anything with Turning Point yet, but I do know we have a group that is fighting it.
There's lots of groups all over the country.
Just you, a parent, you can just take a few minutes, write up one thing. I think you can find samples on your website to use where you're educating people about what this is, and you send it individually to those people. I think that is a really powerful one, because if we can educate the people in power, that can help lessen it.
Yes, I agree. And that was sort of the second part of that. I say, if part of their mission is to get their people into our offices, then we meet them where they are. And then the second strategy to that plan is to spread this knowledge.
Right. Sorry, I jumped the gun there.
No, you're fine, because you're absolutely right. The education, the pulling the curtain back, the uncovering the wool off of the eyes, the telling the truth about these things, breaking down the bad data and the donors and whatever it is so imperative to helping people see the truth and understand what's really happening. And we do that through conversations with each other, right? So even if you know someone who's maybe pro MAGA or whatever it is, talk to them about the fact that like what they stand for, their freedoms are literally being challenged by who they're supporting, because at some point they're not going to let you do what you want to either. It's their road or the highway, right? And like, so when you're talking about taking away local control, which LifeWise likes to do by mandating that our schools work with them for their
because our school system cannot say no to LifeWise. They cannot say no.
Ohio's the same way. Indiana's the same way. Iowa, I want to say there's like
it depends on what state you're in. Our states cannot.
Where they mandate it, right? And so like it cracks me up because LifeWise is reporting this huge jump in numbers in Ohio. Yeah, when you make something a law and you mandate that we do it, the numbers are going to go up.
Yeah, in Kentucky, the school boards can say no to it. So as long as, like, if you're watching this and you're in Kentucky, make sure your school board of your kid's school is aware of this and the dangers. Show them the episode that we did with the 7-year-old, the mom of the 7-year-old that attended a LifeWise class at a church, and she went to the restroom and they forgot about her and they left her, and she walked home or she tried to find the school on her own with no coat on in the snow. She kept crossing the street, and then several adults tried to stop and help her, and it wasn't until the fourth adult that she trusted him, and that adult stopped his car and walked her to the school. and then LifeWise tried to lie about what happened.
The school
Like,
didn't do what they were
so
supposed to do. It was
find that episode, you all. I interviewed the parent that this happened to, and she is so amazing and so brave and strong to fight this. I'm really proud of her, Casey. And
well,
watch that.
she's a great example of a parent who is such a good person and only wants the best for her children, and was really duped into thinking that this was a
She thought it
harmless
was a sweet, but what would Jesus do type Bible school.
coloring
Her
thing.
kid wanted to do it
Mhm.
because all of her friends are doing it. Well, she's not in it anymore, you
And
know?
then think about how that works too now. So that little girl's not in it, and she was. All her friends are still going, presumably. You have fractured that like relationship with those little kids.
We're
So
hurting our children.
yes.
They're little pawns in this
Mhm.
scheme of forcing this religion, this
Yes.
control, so that they can tell us how to vote and how to live. And we're harming our
Yes.
children. That was the
Absolutely.
third part I wanted to say about we need to teach our children about this. So,
Yes.
like,
Talk
I'm
to
not
your
going to
kids.
talk to my
Talk to
kids.
your
Yeah,
talk to your high school age kids about TPUSA.
right,
Tell
right.
them about it.
Yeah, so I have a 15-year-old. He's about to be 16, and he is pretty well aware of what's going on. I will talk to him about Turning Point. I'm going to make sure he understands. His friends are pretty liberal.
Sure.
That's the other part that's interesting. Our high school kids are seeing what's going on.
Yeah, they're not
Also,
stupid.
our high school kids, for the most part, are a lot more tolerant of like the pride community and just be who you are, dress how you want to dress. They're a lot
Because
more
they
like
know
that
that
than
that
like,
applies to them too.
yeah, than I was in high school. They're a lot,
Yes.
times have changed. And so I see this creating a big divide because like
It's on purpose. They
my
they
kid
are
and his
they
friends aren't going to hang out with people that are having a Turning Point Bible school during lunch. They're not
exactly
going to go sit by him and hang out with them.
no. And do you think that the other group of kids is going to hang out with them anymore? No.
They're going to think they're sinners.
Evil, bad
Evil.
bad
Yeah.
influences, whatever, you know what I mean? And so we're really pushing our adult problems onto our children. And LifeWise does it, TPUSA does it to the older kids, and they're using the kids, as the vehicle. It's really okay, so it's the students are the vehicle, but adults are the engine. You know what I mean? Like that's who's
It's
driving.
really sad. And something else I see, I've confronted like some of my friends that have reached out and say, I don't know what you're talking about thinking LifeWise is bad. They came to my school, or they came to my church and talked. They're really nice. And
Mm,
I'm like, send them the episode and I try to explain it, and they just stop talking to me
yeah.
because I think it's too painful for them to see the reality of it. They
Yeah.
don't want to admit that the world is that scary, that these people can use religion to control us and manipulate us. That is scary. So they're just going to
Shut down.
ignore us, and they're going to just look, nope, I'm believing what LifeWise is telling me because that is safer. And those are the group that makes me upset, and I'm sad about it because I can't get to them. Like, I can't, and so that's what really breaks my heart, is this group of
Yeah.
people that are being manipulated. We can get a lot of people. We can get a lot of them by educating them, but we're not gonna reach everybody. This group is really hurting people. People are
Yeah.
choosing to believe it because life is scary, and they're like, "No, this group is good. I'm gonna do what they're telling me, and it's gonna keep my kids safe, and it's gonna keep my family safe." And that's where that makes me angry.
Well, and I think that that's something to be aware of. Like LifeWise isn't necessarily using this model, but TPUSA is for sure. And that's where, the controversy is what fuels them. So they are teaching the kids to question the school's curriculum, to question what they're being taught at their liberal public school.
They other us, they
they're
other them,
they
and
other
it's
them,
just
and
it's
they teach them.
secular, it's just education, and they're othering them as evil.
Absolutely. And they're teaching them confrontation, and they're teaching them um a really closed-minded way of conducting themselves and of debating that is not recognized as, a healthy debate. And again, this is adult ideology being youth delivered and having the public institutions as the platform. So if it were truly student run, adults wouldn't need to script it. They
Right.
wouldn't need to run every facet of it and have all of these rules, and they wouldn't be the ones that you see on Facebook shouting about it. It's not kids, it's adults that are spreading this, and that's evident to any adult that's paying attention.
And if you want to see whether your religion, the thing that you're attending and going to, is Christian nationalism, is pushing this one viewpoint, or
Mhm.
if it's more of a healthy religion, I'm going to say what Pastor Barbara Barry Bailey told me. And she said, are you allowed to question? Are you allowed to say, wait a minute,
Yep.
let's talk about this belief. Why do we have it? Is it right? Is it moral? Is it ethical?
This is how
Let's
it makes me feel.
discuss. Yeah. And then if you're
Yeah.
allowed to have a dialogue, or are you? This is what you believe. You think this and this is
Ah,
why. And then
yes.
you move on. Here's the next thing you believe. And here's why you believe it. And
And
here's and
everyone
you're
else that doesn't agree with you is your enemy.
right. Yeah.
And that's just not
So
true.
we have to talk about
Yeah.
politics. Politics isn't everything. We
Yes.
have to talk about religion. Religion is seeping into everywhere. It is in our
Everything.
public schools. It is in our colleges.
We've allowed this. We've allowed this. And here's the other thing that TPUSA and LifeWise Academy and these sorts of things and the legislation that they're passing, here's the big thing that they're doing. They are normalizing religion in education spaces. And that's where the real damage is, right? Normalizing that.
Right.
Because once that becomes something that we accept, then it's all downhill from there.
It's really hard to call it out and get it out.
It's really hard to scale that back. And in our country, we have to provide those rights and that platform to every single religion. There's no time in the school day to do that. We cannot have any religion in our school day,
I
period.
want my children, I want my 3 children to go to their public education and to get taught about reading, writing, math, science,
Yep.
history, and I don't want propaganda thrown in it. I want
You
the
don't want
facts.
pressure. You don't want Bible verses. You don't want them to feel othered. You don't want them to feel like they're missing out on something fun.
I don't want them to learn to think that any other group is bad. That's, like, awful. So many of our world's problems are because of that belief. We don't
Yeah.
want that taught to our children. It's it's just wild. It's gonna get worse before it gets better. We're gonna have to run for things. We're gonna have to educate our school boards and our superintendents and our principals and our teachers. We're gonna have to get into the school boards. Regular people that see this, that are brave enough to try to stop it, they're gonna have to win races. Right now in Indiana, you can file for stuff until Friday at noon. School
Yeah.
board's coming up later. We have people in our school boards that were voted in to push this agenda. It helped to get LifeWise into a lot of areas. We have LifeWise in Floyd County, and now we have it in Clark County. It's not in my county yet. Um, and so it's gonna take years of fighting this, but we're basically, is this the answer, Molly? Are we gonna have to vote people in that pass legislation to stop it? We're gonna actually have to say, in Indiana, we're gonna have to get laws that say you cannot force your way into public education and make this school have kids leave the building during the day for this Christian nationalism. Is that the main thing that's gonna have to happen to stop it?
I believe so. I believe, and like you said, I do also believe that it is going to get worse before it gets better.
It's definitely
Um,
gonna get worse, yeah.
yes, and that's the unfortunate truth of the matter. But what I want people to remember is that these things happen in waves. And so we might be headed towards the bottom, right? Like we might be down here in this wave, but you have to believe that we will come back up and that we will rise and that the tide will change. So I think what people need to understand is that it takes a lot of courage. Like I'm getting teary-eyed because it takes a lot of courage to come out and to talk about how important it is for our schools to be secular when being secular is being demonized. And so we're going to have people that are willing to step up, that are willing to take that brunt of that abuse and be the voice for people that can't. So I might not seem like it right now with my teary eyes.
No, you're fantastic, girl. I
I,
wish I could give you a hug.
I am better equipped to be called Satan. and to be told that my family should is going to go to hell, and that my daughter is less than. I am equipped to deal with these things, and I know not everyone is. But those of you who
Yeah.
understand how hard this is, we need you to do it. We need you to stand up. And if you're the only person in your whole community that says having religion at school is wrong, I promise you that you're going to face repercussions. You're going to see consequences. You're going to feel it. But you're doing what is right, because there is no school district in the entire country that only has Christian kids going to it. No public school only has
And it's
Christian.
all different types of Christian religions. You can't cherry
Exactly.
pick the scary hate-filled version and make that
Exactly.
be the one.
That on top of it. So
That's
what
what
it
I'm
comes
seeing here.
down
I'm surprised it's not here yet in Harrison County. We're very rural. We're
to,
very protective of our schools. Our
yeah,
public schools are good here, and I really love the teachers and the administrators. They're doing all they can, even though we keep defunding public education. And I see this protective bubble of you don't tell us what type of Christianity. And also, like, this community is very loving. It's a very
yes.
loving group. If I had a flat tire and I was on the side of the road, it would take less than like 3 minutes before somebody pulled over to help me. This is
So
a
they're
helpful
going to be
group.
uncomfortable with someone telling or even relaying the idea that their peer whose mom is a single mom, that they are bad people. Like, that is what we're talking about.
Right.
They may not
These are
say it out.
good people. These are good people, and it is very Christian here in this county, and they're sweet people, and they're accepting. They're not
Yeah.
as judgmental as this group, as this Christian National Turning Point and Lifewise group. So that's why one reason why I think we haven't had it
Yeah.
hit yet. I think that they are a little bit aware. I think that the stuff that we're doing is helping. Um, and I have hope for that. I it really hits me hard when you say you're getting called these things. Me running, me running for state house, Molly, has been really hard on my mental health because the Republicans in the county like to paint me as the monster.
Yeah.
And that's the most painful thing for me because I'm doing everything I can. I don't make money doing this. I'm doing everything I can to make this community better. And the lies of the painting me as a monster and like I'm doing it for attention, they like that one too.
Yeah.
It hurts. It's hard.
Yeah.
And I have friends and I have therapy and my husband's sweet and I can handle it. I can do it. But that's one of the most painful things that I face. The making me out to be the villain. And
Yep.
so what you're saying is making secular out to be evil.
Or
It
anyone,
hits me.
who believes in the separation of church and state. So that's one of the things that we talk about, is how, if you're a Christian and you very much believe in the separation of church and state, you need to stand up now and make that known, because they are co-opting your religion to do things that you do not stand for.
Mm-mm.
You see a lot of brave Christians who are standing up and saying the same thing. It's like what I talked about earlier. They are in their own position of being hurt and being ostracized and being called names and talked about. If they're willing to stand up and actually do and say what Jesus would do and say. And so you find a lot of Christian people not being willing to do so. But
That's another thing we didn't talk about. Something that you can do, and if you don't have children, if you go to a church, let
yes,
your leaders of your church know
yeah,
about these organizations
talk
and
to
that
them
this
about it.
isn't
How
right.
do you feel
And
about it?
and it's growing. The number of pastors and priests and religious leaders that are standing out against LifeWise and
Against
Turning Point
Christian
is growing.
nationalism?
Christian National is
Yeah.
growing. I have shows with I meet all kinds
Yes.
of great pastors now through my
I
friend
watch them
Rich.
all the time. It's great.
Thanks. I appreciate that. Yeah, and so it does give me hope seeing this group.
Yeah.
And like, for example, there were 1,200 pastors and priests and stuff that flew to Minneapolis
Oh,
and they staged a arrest. 100 of them got arrested at the airport to highlight that these airline companies, some of them are taking
yeah.
people that ICE are illegally detaining and flying them to whoever knows where, Texas or whatever. And so I do want you guys to have hope. We are organizing the Secular Education Association. That resource is so valuable in quickly getting the information you need out to the pastors and the priests and the religious groups so that they can then educate their people. They can say at the pulpit, we need to recognize this is not what we're doing. This is not right. And we need to protect our children. It's about protecting our children. And I
Yeah.
know it's hard, but we got to do it.
Yeah, and that's what I always say is like I am not anti-Christian. I am absolutely
I
100%
like what
of
Jesus said. I
I'm
like what Jesus said.
100% pro-faith that it's in an individualized choice and it needs to stay that way. And the I want people to understand is that the separation of church and state isn't persecuting Christianity. It is there to protect you too. Because again, what happens when you think that, yeah, this is fine, we're Christians too? What happens when you find out this is a totally different flavor of Christianity than yours?
And it's
And you
forced
are
on you.
also othered. That's what I'm asking you to consider, is that that's the next
Most of us don't meet that mold of the really
the
the
very
really great. It's a very strict,
yes,
husband, wife, married forever, have
yes.
children, wife doesn't work. They really like wife not vote. It's a very strict. I don't meet that because you know what? I'm divorced. Like, so there's my big
A lot of good Christian people
shame,
are. And that's
shame
the
upon me.
yeah, and that's the other thing is, they're brainwashing. I hate to use the word, but they're indoctrinating and brainwashing children into this very strict, very narrow mindset and way of life. And please understand that that doesn't come without trauma. The children that are subject to this are also suffering,
Yeah,
and they will
that's what we're gonna
struggle.
have to deal once we stop this, which is gonna take years.
Yes,
We're gonna have to deal with the emotional manipulation,
fallout, the
the
fallout.
fallout, the harm that we've
Yeah.
done to our children or that we've allowed to be done to our children, and we're gonna need to help them come out of it, and it's the same way you come out of religious trauma, that type of thing. So that's another thing we're gonna have to step up. How are we gonna help these children when they realize the LifeWise classes they've had for years were teaching them awful untrue thing? You got to take their
And
indoctrination and get them out of it.
and here's the thing. That's, I think, the part that some people lose track of, and even me sometimes when I feel hopeless about things and I feel backed into a corner, is that there will be a percentage of children that they reach that it doesn't stick for. And that is true historically for all religions. So there is beauty in the fact that like our children are, their bodies and their minds are biologically made to grow and to question and to learn.
And
And
that
so
really happens in high school. Like I saw my kid at like 14, I really noticed him
they
starting to
start
step out. And now he's 15, he's really figuring things out. And I can have very complex conversations with him about stuff. So,
so here's the thing, you're having very complex conversations with your son about your family ideals and your ideology and how you want him to be raised. That is your right as an American. It's a gorgeous thing. We're so lucky. What happens, and this is just a hypothetical that I want people to understand, but what happens when your son goes to school and is being told the exact opposite of what you want him to learn?
yeah, I
And then,
mean,
I mean that, then we're talking about, you bring that conflict home. And we see it happen all the time. And LifeWise, it's bound to happen in TPUSA, where it's just not statistically impossible where you're not also going to fracture families by injecting an ideology into a student's life who otherwise wouldn't have been exposed to that,
yeah,
because they're
what if like I didn't have a close relationship with my
that's what I'm saying.
child and he
Exactly.
got in that club
Someone,
and it completely brainwashed him
that is
and
the
I
point.
like couldn't
There,
talk to him,
yeah,
and then if he has like emotional problems or something hard happens and he didn't trust me to come to me, like
yes.
that's terrifying.
And I think that's what people really need to understand, that if you're not having these conversations with your kids, somebody else is. And that is truly their goal.
Yes, they want to be the one that's having
They
these
want to have
conversations.
that conversation and those conversations with your children. And then they want your children to then try to convert you. They don't care if your relationship is fractured. So
They don't
either,
care about us, the
yeah,
individual. They care about the money, the greed, the control, the
and the mission.
manipulation,
And if they
the
truly
you
are
do what we
faithful,
say.
yes, and if they truly are faithful, which we both discussed does exist, then
Mhm.
they believe that they are saving your soul no matter how much they hurt your life. And that's what
Yeah.
it really comes down to.
Yeah,
Is
that's those people. I know those people too, and they are scary because they're sweet, loving people that care so much about you. And they really believe if you don't follow exactly what I think, you are going to hell. I've
yeah.
got to do all these things to reach you. And it is intense and scary.
Yeah, and think about how that is for an adult and then take yourself back to being 13.
Because I had it happen to myself. So I
I
had my own
experience
manipulation from
I was going to
from a
say I didn't.
Baptist youth leader that's very messed
Mhm.
up. And
And
she
we hear that
really
a
did
lot.
damage. Yeah.
We hear that a
Yeah.
lot. I wasn't directly influenced or impacted myself, but I watched it happen to almost every single one of my friends. And I'm an elder millennial, So I graduated in 2005. And so around the 2000s, we really saw that huge boom in like youth group rock, cool, what would Jesus do? Bring your kids into the club thing. Like that was a huge thing in the
They made
2000s.
it so fun.
And they made it alternative and they made it different than it had ever been. And that was also a ploy to bring the kids in. And
Yeah.
I saw a lot of kids whose parents weren't religious who all of a sudden were neck deep in religion, and it was not what it did not come from their home or their family. And
Yeah.
that's a problem. I don't care who you are, because I don't care what your beliefs are. I don't care what your religion is. I don't care if you believe this is a Christian nation or not. Please understand that the path you're going down is the exact path you talk about being afraid of all the time. So we're talking about you're making it a reality where Muslims can come in and try to convert our American children. Is that
Yeah.
something that Muslim
Yeah.
people ever do?
I
No.
don't think so.
No,
Yeah.
I've never heard of it, never seen it, would never accuse it. But theoretically, please understand that that's what you're doing.
Yeah. If you're saying
It's
all of
what's
this can
good for the
come into our
goose
schools,
is
then
good for
any
the gander.
religion can come in and do it too. Unfortunately, it's not. Because I think that that would help stop it faster if it was going to happen.
I
Let's
do
say
too,
the
but I
Satanist
think it's,
group started saying, well, we're going to have a Satan club,
let
but
me
I
let
just
me
don't
tell you
think
that.
that's going to happen.
Yeah, I'll tell you this. I disagree with you. I don't think that it's happening right now, but I think that it is an unavoidable conclusion.
I, no,
Because
yes,
because
because that's the
other faith
quickest way to
groups,
stop it. It's the
yes,
quickest
because
way.
other faith groups are going to start to feel threatened, as they should, and then they're going to want to cement their tradition and values into their children and their congregations. And so they start an RTRI program, and before you know it, we've got 7 different religions taking kids out in the middle of the day, and our schools are
I just
shorter.
want my kids to be educated at their public school.
Right, because that's the only choice we have as secular parents. You can send your children to a religious school and get a religious education. There is nowhere except public school that has to accept every child, no matter of race, creed, disability, income, anything. There is no other place for them. And there is also no other place where we can guarantee the secularism or the neutrality. Secularism does not mean anti-religion. It means neutral. It means
Neutral, you
everybody
get to pick. Your
everybody's as good as everybody else. We're
Everybody gets to
staying
pick
out of
what
it.
they want. It's freedom. It
It's
stands for
freedom.
freedom.
It is the definition of freedom. And so that's something that I think people need to understand is, even if you're not religious, even if you're not politically active, even if you're not, necessarily believe what it is we're saying and how big and bad it's going to get, open your eyes and look around you and see the pattern that's already happened, is what I would say. So, that's the thing. Get involved, educate people, have the conversations. And you yourself, if you're in a place where you can take the abuse, like we talked about, or you can run for something and make a difference, now is the time to do it. There has literally never been another time that's more important than right now for you to do that.
If there's anybody that has a college student that was in a Turning Point club and got
I would
themselves
love to
out,
hear from
I
them.
would love to interview you for Project Next. So if anybody knows of anybody that was starting to go down that rabbit hole and got themselves out,
Mm-hmm.
or even somebody that was like really deeply in a religion that was a Christian nationalist type religion, and they realized that wasn't Jesus's true meaning. This is a hate-filled religion. We need love. I would love to talk to you because I think it would help to hear what got them out, because we're going to have to help
Yes.
so many people as they're coming out of their own traumatized religious experience. And so maybe I could use my platform to try to help. So yeah, just let me know, message me on any of the Project Next on Facebook,
I'll be the
TikTok,
first one to
Instagram.
watch.
Yeah, I
'Cause
would
I
love
think
to talk to
that
somebody. I have my own, whereas I was just like literally reading the New Testament and what Jesus was saying and being like, this youth pastor is not saying that. And I would start to question, and then I got ostracized and I lost my closest friends and I got pushed away, and so I had it happen and I got out, and it did some damage, but Molly, it really helped to show when someone's being manipulative. I could like find
you
it
can
faster.
you
Since
learn
I
that.
had that happen at like 10th, like from 8th to 10th grade, I
Yeah.
could see it better. So I'm grateful for it, even
And
though it was
that
awful.
is literally a trauma response, right? Being able to pick it out is a response to the fact that you had to.
Yeah.
And it's not
And
it
and
just
I'm not
happens to
as
be
tolerant to be
a
around it.
positive.
Like
Yeah.
somebody will say, "Yeah, but this person is doing good things." That's great. I can't be around them because I can see the
The
manipulation.
bit, yes,
Yeah.
yes, and that's
Yeah.
exactly why. That's exactly why you get a heightened sense of injustice and a heightened sense of just that manipulation factor, and it's your body trying to protect yourself from that
And
trauma.
and I heal from it by doing Project Next. By having you on, Molly, by me and you talking about this, it helps me to heal. And then I'm like, well, how can I help everybody else? And I'm just talking with you. I'm like, oh, there's going to be so many more people traumatized coming out that we need to help. That's going to be, I bet, just watching a couple years time or whatever, I bet that your organization has like more things to help people, because it is going to be a giant problem.
I hate to say it, but I don't think I'm not going to have a job anytime soon, and I wish I didn't, right? Like, this has been going on for so long, it's been normalized, it's been accepted, and there's this huge hole where people are like, if it has to do with religion, it's fine, and if it has to do with our public schools and we have to do whatever the parents say, no. So like you said, it's only going to get worse before it gets better. We need to be prepared, we need to be educated, like,
Stop all we can, educate everybody,
yes,
get better people
yeah,
elected in school boards everywhere, state house, Congress, Senate, everywhere. Get better people elected to say the people get to pick their religion and their kids' religion. And then we heal.
yeah.
We heal.
And
And
just as
it's
a
never
side,
going to end. Like,
no,
this is never going to stop. These types of groups, they might change their name.
yep,
LifeWise might end and turn into another name. Turning Point might end and turn into another, but it's never going to stop. It's something that we all have to get as mentally healthy as possible so that we can shine a light on it and help protect as many children and adults as possible. So I
yeah,
mean,
I know,
I think we're all realizing that now, whether
yeah,
we're talking about LifeWise or we're talking about authoritarianism or we're talking about ICE and Border Patrol. I think we all realize if we don't fight for our freedoms and our democracy, we lose it. And that's the hope. It's so bad, but also so hopeful because more people are waking up.
yes,
And so
exactly,
we just bring them in. Come in. Let's teach you. Let's work together. Let's get over our own little disagreements and let's just stay on this goal of having a democracy, having freedom, having the right to vote, having the freedom to pick our religion. Let's just like keep. And I think it's just what we're going to have to do as humans to protect the human race. We're just going to have to keep doing that.
yeah, no, absolutely, and obviously this is something that's cyclical, right? Because we hear from women that are much older than us that say, I fought for this already.
Yeah.
So it's one of those things where you know we have to encourage people. Courage is contagious, so us speaking out helps other people speak
I
out,
agree with you. I see that
and
happening in my county. I see
and
more
knowledge is power.
people. Yep, yep.
Knowledge is power. We know that that is truly why they want to destroy the public education system, is because then you have entire huge swaths of the population who are uneducated and who are easily manipulated and easily told how to vote.
Yeah.
That is how we truly descend into fascism that we never come out of.
The Republican Party in Indiana has already turned into that. if you don't blindly follow them, they literally kick you out. We had a state rep, Ed Clear, just announce
Yeah,
he's going to be independent, and they very quickly bullied him and try to, like kicked him off his committees. He's state rep now. He's got another year of it, and it's just, here it is. The Republican Party in Indiana, you blindly follow us or we kick you out and you don't get to be in our group. And
it's the same.
so
It's the same in Ohio, and we're seeing. And if you go and you look, like, pick out one of these bills that has to do with public education or that affects public education, specifically one that intersects with religion, like a 10 Commandment bill, like a chaplain bill, like an RTRI mandate bill. Go and look at them, and you will see pages of opponents who have testified from the ACLU.
Oh, you're so right. They're like, here's why
From the
this is wrong. Oh,
SFRF,
we don't care.
from every and you will see like 3 people that are proponents that have some sort of connection to those people, that dark money, those big mega churches, and they keep passing this legislation anyway. These people are not working for us anymore.
We got to get better people elected.
They're working for their own goals, right?
Yeah.
Which is to have us be a Christian nation, and for everything to be covered and controlled by that Christian nationalism ideology.
I just so wonder what it's going to look like in a couple years. Are we going to be able to fight this in a couple years? Is it going to take 4 years? Is it going to take 10 years? What's it going to take? I know we're going to do it. I know it's going to happen because there are amazing people like you and Zach and all the other volunteers that work on this, that are brave, they're shining a light on it. And we're going to just keep growing. We keep gaining pastors and religious leaders. We're going to keep growing. It's going to happen. We don't know when.
No.
And like, I've been involved in local politics since 2020. And I thought that stuff that is just now happening would have happened in 2020. So I'm realizing I'm playing the long game here. And that's what you guys have to do. It's the long game.
Yeah. And they have been playing the long game, right?
Yeah.
Like, please understand, this is not just something they came up with a couple years ago and we're like, let's do it. They have been talking about the 7 mountains, the 7 mountain mandate, about destroying public education.
Oh, they're so well organized and funded and planned, and they are really good at, because you just blindly follow. That's why, like, our side, we don't blindly follow as much. So we don't just say, you don't tell me what to do. Like, it's a lot harder for us to just do something. Whereas their side is like, here's what you believe, here's what you say, here's how you vote. So it's like, it's much easier for them to be so organized and planned.
And for years, right? And where we necessarily haven't been. Christian nationalism hasn't really been on anyone's radar, and unless you were in niche circles for a while. And now
I had no idea. I did not know this was coming like 10 years ago or whatever, just a few years ago. No idea.
Now it's becoming part of our discussion, right? Like, part of our current zeitgeist, and like, it is in our crosshairs, for lack of a better word. And so while that is our chance. Like we said, now is the time to run. Now is the time to educate anyone you can about Christian nationalism and try to help protect them, because there are so many good people that are going to churches and listening to their pastors say things that bother them, but they don't know why, and they can't put words to it, and they
don't know how to like stand against it. They're like, well, this is a pastor. I have to believe what they say. I guess I'm wrong and I need to just change my thinking. There's a lot of that going on instead of pushing back.
Yes. And I think one of the things that we need to do, like you and I and our movements and things, is to try our best not to push those people away, people that have changed their minds, people that have been educated.
Oh,
people
so important.
That doesn't feel right. We need to accept and open our arms to them and say, hey, it's okay. We are all human. We all make mistakes. We all are easily manipulated with all these different factors.
Yeah, admitting that we messed up, and that's okay. Yes. I thought things that were wrong, and I've changed now, and I'm sure I still think things that are wrong, and I'm gonna have to
Me too.
Molly, did you see the SNL skit with the mom that was a Trumper that comes out and says things? If you haven't seen it, it's on my Facebook. You gotta go to my Facebook and scroll down and watch it. It's so funny. So that's what you're talking about. So there's this mom, and she's got like her teenage kids, and Alexander Skarsgård is the guest, by the way, and he's the dad, and she's going, I feel like Trump may be bad for our country. And the kids are like, Mom, we've been saying this since 2006 or 2016. And she goes, stop. She's like, do you want me to be vulnerable? And she's like, if you keep yelling at me, she's like, I'm going to go watch the Melania movie right now. Like, it's really funny. And it's like, yes, so that's what we've got to do. it was so good. It was so,
So
so you got to see it. It gave me all the feels. I'm like, oh, so this is what we got to do. People
yeah,
just now realizing, don't be like, you're stupid. You should have seen this coming. Nope. Trump
no.
told them what they wanted to hear and they believed him. And that
Hey,
doesn't make him bad.
this is the fact of the matter that we and I was waiting for this to come up and it didn't, but let's go ahead and talk about it really fast before we end. There's a lot of similarities that are drawn between clubs like TPUSA and Lifewise Academy and Hitler Youth. And I think what's important for people to understand is that there's a reason for that. I am not going to sit here and say that, you know, that full scale annihilation of a certain race or religion is their goal,
Right.
like the Nazis. No, but please understand that they are using the same playbook.
Well, and they really want a certain type of family. They're
Yeah,
really pushing a certain type of family life, which isn't really reflective of all of America.
exactly,
So it
exactly,
would be a more pushing towards how do we force people into that mold? Not
exactly.
necessarily, yeah, yeah. So
Yeah.
I agree with you, and I
So
think that it's
so
good
that's
that
a
you
that's a
point that
really
out.
hard. I was just gonna say I warn people against using that comparison unless they're really prepared to do so in the correct way, because their end goal is not the same. Like, but but their ideologies, some of them are very scarily similar. Their processes and policies about the way that they run are very, very similar. So the whole idea of making the kids answer to other kids, that's something that was a really big way that sort of, the Hitler Youth thing spread, was that the peer pressure, the you were bad if you weren't part of this, and so everybody wanted to be part of it, and we're seeing that happen in real life.
Youth are pretty incredible. Like
They are.
I'm really in awe of the kids that my kid goes to school with. I
Yes.
should just see them pushing back, starting their own club. Well, we're a
Yes.
anti turning point club, or we're a and so I just see, because we have the internet and we can use it for bad, or we can use it for good, and we can use it for
Yeah.
knowledge. I
Yeah.
just see these kids using the information that they have for knowledge and fighting back. And
Yeah.
so I just want to hear from any of them, particularly if you're in college, because I don't want to take like a minor, but if you're in college and you're seeing any of this, what is going on, like, to push back? I know that the Democrat clubs, the youth Democrat clubs across the country are growing.
Yes.
And
And
that's,
there's there's secular student alliances
oh,
that,
okay, that's good to
yeah.
know.
And just to be clear, we're not affiliated with them, with that organization, but we support them. We love their work. We are more focused towards parents, communities,
Yeah,
lawmakers
but
being.
that's what I'm just realizing, we're gonna need those groups,
Yes.
and they're
Yes.
probably gonna start popping up more.
And we should
So,
encourage it, right?
yeah, so I wanna know if you're out there and you're starting your own group or whatever,
Yeah.
get a hold of me. Yeah, we'll go ahead and end this because I know you got
We
your
could
full
do it all
day.
day. We
I
could
could
go
talk to
all
you
day.
all day. Let me know when you wanna come back on, particularly if you have a certain situation. And, oh, the news stories. I'm so grateful Zach messaged me and asked if I wanted to do a story with Casey about her 7-year-old. Any stories like that, I will definitely put on Project Next so
Real
we can warn
quick,
people.
before we end, I'll give you an update on the Casey
Oh,
situation.
yes, please do.
Here's what I know. I know that CPS, Indiana CPS, was made aware of the situation and they are investigating it. So they have absolutely taken the case up and they're looking into it. That's all we know so far. We know that Casey has legal representation.
Good. Go Casey.
LifeWise has absolutely offered some money amounts and some et ceteras to make this go away. So that's where we are.
Wait, Casey, you are my freaking hero for fighting
Truly,
this,
truly,
protecting your daughter. I mean,
Casey is a great example of someone who, like, there's no shame. We don't hold any animosity
she was
towards her.
calling her, she's just like Mama Bear kicked in. What happened to my child? And she like tracked it down. So watch that episode if you haven't,
Yes,
because it is fascinating and that's good to know. And I'm
yeah,
really thankful that your organization helped her. You guys helped her. Like, you should do this. You should ask for this thing. You were giving her advice on how can she make sure that what happened doesn't happen anymore. Like, that was really beautiful to be a part of that. So thanks for that update. Molly, let me know when you want to come back on. You're awesome. Zach,
you're awesome. We love you.
Zach, get feeling better. Thank you for all that you do. And please share the show with someone that needs to know what's going on about Turning Point. This might be a good one to send to your teenager or college kid and just find out what's going on. This might be a good way to open up that conversation. What is going on in your school? Are you seeing these groups? Are they forming? Have you heard about it? Just to open up the dialogue. I think just having communication with your teenager, with your college kid about this issue is really important.
Yep, because again, like we said, if you're not having those conversations, someone else is.
Yeah, yeah. It's the same thing about, like, you need to teach your kid about sex ed. It's like, well, if you're not doing it, who knows what weird thing they're gonna learn.
I mean, that's unfortunately the truth, and it's definitely the truth here.
Yeah. All right, you guys have a wonderful day. And I will be back at least next week, maybe another episode this week. We'll see. It's a busy week with stuff going on with the campaign. I have a primary challenger, Molly. Life got a little more intense for me lately, but yeah. All right, you guys. Love you all. Thank you, Molly. And follow Secular Education Association. And also you can follow us at Project Next. We have a website that you can go to, Project Next Indiana, and you can put your email in if you want these shows to show up in your email, and you can read a summary of them and then click to watch them. And it's a podcast, Apple and Spotify. So bye, everybody. Thank you.